and welcome to Cinema Talk. I'm your host, Oliver. Let's talk Civil War. Civil War is directed by Alex Garland and stars Kirsten Dunst and Wagner Moura as a team of embedded military journalists as they race against time to get to DC before rebel factions take down the White House. Talking about January 6th all over again, eh? I mean, the trailer and the marketing for this film had me hyped. I really wanted to see this movie. It promised action and war and all this shit. And honestly, we didn't get that. It felt like the characters spent more time in the car than we saw action. There is action and fighting in this movie, especially the last 10-15 minutes of this film, which is pretty intense and fucking brutal. I will definitely elaborate on this a little bit more later. But for now, I have to talk about what I liked most about this movie, and that's the cinematography. The film is beautifully shot. There's a couple scenes in particular that I really like, but one that I fell in love with watching in the theater is when they're driving through the burning forest. The slow-mo and the camera angles and the lighting with the fire, it's honestly some of the best cinematography I've seen this year. Something that Alex Garland does in this movie that I really appreciate, especially as a photographer, is that he splashes the images taken by our photojournalists onto the screen for us to see. Oftentimes I wonder what the pictures look like that they're taking. I mean, I know they're actors and they're not really taking these images, but Alex does a good job showing us the images that they take. Whether or not they took them for real, the actors, doesn't matter. The fact that we see the end result is what's fascinating. Another interesting touch that he does while he's splashing these images on the screen for us is that the characters both have two different style cameras. Kirsten is using a modern day digital camera, and then Spaeny's character Cailee is shooting with a film camera, an older body style camera, which she has to develop the films herself on the spot. So he does a very good job showing us the differences between the two images and the styles of photography that both characters have. It's truly unique to Civil War, and it's not something I've seen other directors do. The performances in this film is also fantastic. Kirsten and Wagner have great on-screen chemistry, and you can tell that they're friends in the movie. But Wagner is the standout in this. He is fantastic. He is truly the highlight in this film, and his performance is immaculate. He lets out this inaudible scream that you see in the trailer, and honestly, it gave me goosebumps at the time of watching it. He had no other way but to express himself by letting out this scream. He had just lost somebody very dear to him in the movie, and you can just feel for his character at that moment. Kirsten, as always, is fantastic to see on the big screen. She did take some time off recently because she had a baby. A little fun fact for you, if you guys didn't know, Jesse Plemons, that asshole with the red glasses that you see in the trailer, is her actual real life husband. And he originally didn't have the role for this. Originally, another actor had the role, but he dropped out last minute. And then Kirsten suggested Plemons to Alex, and the rest is obviously history. And that's how you get the great performance by Jesse Plemons. He's also fantastic in the movie. For the short amount of time that he is on screen, he is tension heavy. He's very much a scene stealer, kind of like what Javier Bardem is in No Country for Old Men. Every time you see him, you're just like, what the fuck is he gonna do? They're unpredictable, and they're best at doing that. As for Cailee, Spaony's character in the movie, she honestly quite annoyed me. And it's not the fault of the actress here. She's great, but her character was just super fucking annoying. She had these decisions she made in the movie that were very questionable. I'm not really sure why she was doing it. Was it to impress Kirsten's character? Was it not? We know she looks up to Kirsten's character in the movie because in the beginning of the movie, you see her walk up to her and she says she knows all of her work. She clearly wants to be just like Kirsten. It's why she wants to be a photojournalist. So much so that she puts herself in the line of fire to get the shot. And spoilers here if you haven't seen the movie, but one of these actions causes the death of Kirsten's character, and you get to see it played through snapshots taken by Cailee. And I wondered at the time, did she do this on purpose to get the shot? Would she intentionally put Kirsten's character in danger to get the shot of her death? Let me know in the comments below if you think she did it on purpose. Earlier in the film, Cailee asked Kirsten if she were to die, would she take a picture of her dead body? With Kirsten replying, "What do you think?" Now she's playing a hard ass here because as the film progresses, she begins to change. The war and the images that she's taken throughout the years, even some being her friends, is starting to affect her. She ends up deleting a picture she took of a friend that died after a brief encounter with Plemons' character. And this is a huge turning point for the character because she's no longer the badass that we saw before. She's starting to feel empathetic and it's starting to take a toll on her and begins to break down. And it's at this moment that Cailee's character stands up and starts to do the job that Kirsten was doing in the beginning. And this is where she starts to shine in the movie towards the third act. Cailee is now on her game and she's now the photographer and the journalist that she's trying to be. And now the big action set piece in this movie. The last 10-15 minutes is intense and absolutely brutal. And this is where I don't know how I feel about the movie. I'm just not used to seeing Americans gunning down Americans like this. Our military taking out the Secret Service agents at the White House. It's honestly pretty tough to watch. There's just not a lot of context being told to us here. And it's one of my main gripes with the movie, the lack of context. We don't know why they're fighting. We know that the president took a third term and we know the country's divided, but we don't know how we got here. Why did we get to such a bad state? Yes, it's called civil war, but we don't see any of that war. We're catching the tail end of the war. We see them take down the White House, which is already a sight to see. Like, it's insane to see our own military going into the White House, the Capitol, and just going after the president. It's pretty wild to watch, and it was really tough for me because I didn't know how to feel about it. Nonetheless, I really did enjoy this movie. I enjoyed the cinematography the most. Like I mentioned before, Alex Garland is such a great director. Although he does not have a lot of movies under his belt, his filmography only consists of 4 films, including Civil War. He also directed Ex Machina, which is one of my favorite movies, and I will definitely review in a later video. He did Annihilation and Men. He says he's not going to direct any more movies after this, although IMDb does list that he has one more movie coming up. Not sure if he's going to direct. He wants to focus more on writing. He has written quite a few movies in the past, a lot of them classics today, one of them being, actually 3 of them being directed by Danny Boyle, with Sunshine, 28 Days Later, and The Beach, that stars Leonardo DiCaprio. Let me know what you thought of the movie in the comments below. I'm looking forward to reading your responses. And don't forget to enjoy this movie on the big screen and support your local cinemas. Thank you so much for watching Cinema Talk. A sub to this channel would be greatly appreciated, and a like on this video would be nice too. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.